Hey everybody, I just wanted to make a quick video about a transit that's starting tomorrow on June 21st where Jupiter is going retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. And this is a really good transit. There's a lot of talk often with astrologers about the bad transits and how scary everything is going to be, so I want to also make sure I talk about the good ones too. So this transit will be a very positive one actually. We often think of retrograde as being sort of a disturbing thing or not a great thing. And it can be true in some cases, but with Jupiter, this is often going to be a very good quality. So being in the sign of Aquarius too, this is a sign that rules higher ideals of society, fairness, justice, equality, all these great things, and kind of imagination or structures that are benefit everybody. So this is a great thing. And essentially with retrograde, what the planets are doing is they're moving backwards. They're not technically moving backward in the sky, but from the Earth they appear to move backwards. And I use the analogy that this is a time to rewind, reflect, and reemerge. So anytime there's a retrograde, that planet is asking us to revisit the themes of that planet in accordance with the sign it's in and look at those things. So with Aquarius, this will ask us to look at our personal lives. Jupiter rules wisdom, teaching, gurus, and this is like a deeper heart wisdom type of wisdom. So this isn't so much the intellectual wisdom. This is kind of that knowing or that knowledge that sort of comes to you. I always like to use the example of the things that you can talk about without having to read from a script, or that you just have the brain knowledge in the head, right? So this is the stuff we've really actually truly integrated in our lives. This would be Jupiterian wisdom. And so Jupiter is going to move back through these areas of our life and ask us to re-examine these things. So think about if you started new programs, maybe a new discipline like a workout routine, or maybe you started studying with a new teacher, maybe you started school or therapy or something like this, right? What things have you integrated into your life in the last, say, year or so? And how have those served you through that time? So with the retrograde period, Jupiter can sometimes act in a little bit erratic or larger than life type of ways. So it can skew our judgment a little bit. So the retrograde period especially is a great time to slow down and really look at these different areas of our life and see, is this wisdom that I want to move forward with going forth? So as we rewind, we also want to reevaluate this stuff and then maybe reassess as we reemerge, right? So take these areas of your life. Jupiter also rules actually like relationships, marriages, things like this too. So you can look at these pieces of your life and see how you've integrated wisdom. Have you grown closer with your partner? Have you maybe found a partner during this period? These are all things that may pop up. And a lot of that will also be a little bit more specific with your chart and where this retrograde is falling in your chart. We'll give a little more specific details. But on the larger scale, again, we want to look at how have we as a society moved forward with issues, say, of social justice? Have we brought deeper truths to the world? Have we created new social structures that better serve everybody and not just specific people? Have we learned the lessons of COVID? This is a big, Jupiter played a big part in this whole COVID shutdown and everything. So this will be a time period where we're wanting to expand. Jupiter always wants to grow, always wants to get bigger, right? But we need to reevaluate and say, did we do things right? Are we ready to actually move forward in a way that's going to progress us, in a truly wisdom-filled manner that will help us reemerge into like more normal life, right? So as a society, we need to look at these things. We need to look at the effect we've had on the planet. Have we reimagined how we, both individually and society, relate to the planet, how we take care of the planet? Are there ways in which we can, clean up our act, use less things, maybe travel less, fly less, walk more, ride our bikes more, do things that don't take so many resources? I like this idea of, rather than, we often hear about giving back, is how about we just take less in the first place, right? So this could be a really a way to integrate this deeper Jupiterian wisdom into our own personal lives. And then, of course, on the societal, structural level as well. COVID was an interesting thing, and then I talked to so many patients about this, and as terrible as it's been, there's been these kind of secret blessings. I call them this, like, it's kind of the curse with the blessing kind of thing, right? And it's asked us to reevaluate our lives, right? In a lot of ways. The jobs we have, maybe the relationships we're in, how we're living our life, how we're spending our time. It's shown us that life is fragile, that there's all kinds of unknowns can happen, and it's given us time to reflect on who we are in this world, what's important to us. We've learned as everything's been taken away, there's a lot of stuff that we probably didn't really need, a lot of extraneous things, right? So very kind of the seed of the Jupiterian knowledge is within this entire situation of COVID. It's been absolutely terrible as well, but that's a nice thing that I think we can pull out of this and take moving forward. How are we going to integrate this new ways of thinking, this new ways of being, and who do we want to be as we reemerge in this world? So retrograde of Jupiter is sort of a little bit of like an incubation time. It's a big time to go internal. Sit with yourself, spend more time in meditation if you're a meditator, sit silently, watch your breath if that's not so much your thing, right? Anything that slows you down, brings you a little bit more into a grounded kind of place, this would be a good way to integrate this Jupiter energy right now. And reimagine how you want to reemerge as everything starts to open back up, as businesses reopen. There's a big pull right now. Everybody wants to buy things, right? And everybody wants to travel, and I'm one of those people too, is what I'm trying to say, right? So, but we want to look at these things, right, and say, like, are we falling back into old patterns, old habits, and just be at least conscious and aware of those. And if we're doing them, at least be aware of what we're doing. That's usually half the battle, right? So look at your spiritual disciplines. Look at any kind of disciplines you have in your life or practices you have in your life. Look at any organizations you've joined, social structures or social networks that you're a part of. Even the digital realm, right, is a social network we're all a part of. And which one of those give you a deeper sense of well-being, calmness, bring you true wisdom, and which of those are maybe the more fluff version of that, right? So let's use this time. It runs through the summer. We have starting tomorrow, June 21st. Goes through into just about September, and then it moves into Capricorn. It'll still be retrograde for a little bit. Jupiter doesn't always do so great in Capricorn. It's not its favorite sign, but the nice thing with it being retrograde in Capricorn as this term called Nichbang Yoga, which means that it sort of cancels out the negative effects of being debilitated in Capricorn. It's a long-winded way of saying it helps. It's going to be a pretty okay thing in that sense. And then it'll start to move forward again, where it goes back into Aquarius after, I think it's in April, I believe. And again, we'll have a bigger period of expansion and justice that will be happening. So there's good times coming up for us. Use this summer as again, this incubation period to sort of reimagine your life and how you want to use it going forward. It's a great time to find teachers, gurus, things like that too, and to reevaluate the practices you already have. So Jupiter is the planet of Dharma, and I like the definition of Dharma. A lot of us have heard this word. It's around in yoga circles and things, and we often think of this as like what our path in life or what we're supposed to do, and this often gets equated to our career. Like my Dharma is to be a yoga teacher or to run this business or whatever we think our Dharma is, right? And I like this idea of Dharma being intentional awareness in each and every action we do. So this is more of a moment-to-moment active definition of Dharma that I really like. So no matter what you're doing, whether you're living your dream life and doing your dream career, that could be your Dharma in one sense, right? But it could also be your Dharma that if you have kids, that you're changing the baby, feeding the kids, cleaning the house, right? All these things are part of our Dharma. That Dharma is our duty, and that duty should stretch into every single moment of our life. So I like Jupiter for this way of looking at what our Dharmas are in life and living more authentically and truer to those. And I hope this retrograde period will help us to examine these things and to move forward with that in mind too. So I hope this is helpful. I'm getting up around 9 minutes, so it's getting to be a little bit of a long video, so I'll stop here. If you have any questions, again, it's always good to look at your chart individually too and see where these transits are happening in your chart. It gives you a little bit more specific idea of what to expect and how to manage it and things like this. But this is hopefully a good broad overview of what we can do. So I hope everybody enjoys this transit. Let's cheer on the good transits, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much.